What is up, everyone? Hope everybody is all good. So, topic today, I want to go over the biggest metrics, what really influences training volume, how many sets do we really need to grow in the gym. Now, we know everything is individual, but what are the big metrics, the big levers that are really going to affect how many sets that we need in the gym to grow. Now, I'm not going to go into the lifestyle factors again, training age, all this stuff. We know that's important. I want to go, I'd say the more so the main three important things that I'd look for before looking at the other things. So, three big things we're going to go over here. So, number one, how much of a precise and accurate stimulus can you provide on a set-by-set basis? Now, what do I mean by precise stimulus? Now, let's take a chest press for an example. As you get towards the end of a set, are you allowing your technique to change and other muscles to take over as you're getting into this position? Are you allowing too much momentum, maybe too much front delt to come into it? You're changing your position. You're taking the stimulus off the chest and the precision as you get towards the end of a set. So how well can you drive a stimulus to the target tissue? Now, training is a skill. It's something that is going to develop the more and more that you do this over the years. As I say, from someone who's in year 2, year 3 of the training, your technique and ability to drive accurate stimulus is only going to improve as you get into year 9, year 10, year 11 of training. That should be obvious, but training is a skill just like everything else. So the more skilled you are at driving a specific stimulus because your technique is that good, you're not going to need as many sets to get the job done because you're so on point with things. You're very efficient on a set-by-set basis, whereas maybe a beginner, someone who is not as skilled at lifting just yet, and the ability to hone in on a target muscle with technique and the ability to make sure that's the limiting factor during the end of a set, they may require maybe a couple of extra sets here and there just to grease the groove in order to, again, practice the skill of training and flexing the muscle under load, contracting under load. So these low volume approaches for maybe beginners might not be ideal. That doesn't mean we throw the kitchen sink of volume just because we're not experienced, but you see what I'm getting at? The first major thing is how accurately can you train? How well can you hold your nerve towards the end of a set and put all the stimulus on the target muscle? Because again, that's a skill in itself. So that's number one, right? So that covers technique, precision, very, very important. Number two, it leads us into exercise selection. Now, I think exercise selection, it is blown out of proportion for a lot of this optimal crew, where they only want to sit on cables and all this stuff. The industry is going too much that way, but we need to come back, and just use our brains a touch and go, okay, we can use some of these optimal exercises, biomechanics and alignment, and set ourselves up with good movements if we understand resistance profiles. All this stuff, it all makes sense, of course, but don't forget some of the older stuff as well. Like we know how to build muscle tissue. We're standing on the shoulder of giants here. We can utilize some of the knowledge that we've had in the past. We know how to build a physique, utilize some of the newer stuff that we're learning, and you want to hang somewhere in the middle. We don't just completely throw out all the old stuff and just be full on optimal. Now, this is what takes me into the exercise selection. Again, it comes back to set precision. If you use exercises that are fit for you in your structure, allow you to take the target muscle to failure and not have the secondary muscles, the tertiary muscles, the stability actually be the limiting factor over the target muscle. If you can find exercises that allow you to do that, again, the stimulus that you're going to drive on a set-by-set basis is going to be so much better because you've aligned your exercises up to a point where they fit your structure, working with your body, not against it. Let me give you two examples so you can understand what I'm saying. One upper body, one lower body. Let's take upper body, an incline dumbbell press. Fantastic exercise. However, it comes with limitations at a certain point. If you get to a point where getting the dumbbells into a position to press, that is the limiting factor. It becomes more of a hassle to bring the dumbbells into place than actually press them and take the chest to failure. Then you need to question the point of the exercise. Again, the stability of dumbbells, if you start getting to the 120s, 130, 140 pound dumbbells in each hand as an example, Is that doable? Of course it is, but if you're getting limited by getting into position safely and the stability element, maybe for you, it might just be better to chart that exercise, and then maybe we go to a machine chest press or Smith incline, even a barbell incline, something with a bit more stability and doesn't have a problem with a setup. So again, you're not going to be limited by stability if you change exercises there, whereas the heavier you go on dumbbells, you may be limited by stability, not the target muscle failing. That makes sense? That's number one. Number two, classic example of a back squat. Someone with long limbs, again, if we're doing a squat, we're trying to develop our quads. So if someone has long limbs, they get all the way to the bottom of the squat and they have more of a bent over torso like this. Maybe the quads don't get the stimulus or are the limiting factor as much as the lower back or the glutes will be. So it may make sense for someone like that, someone with longer limbs who really folds over during the squat. It may make sense for them to use, a hack squat, a pendulum squat, a leg press, something with that back support, which is going to allow them to take the lower back and glutes out of the equation and just hone in and go to town on the quads and take those to failure instead of the lower back giving out. So there are a couple of things when it comes to exercise selection that if you get that right, that's going to influence how many sets you need, because if you're very accurate and precise with, again, your technique and your exercise selection, every set you do is more stimulative. You're not going to need as many. So that's number two, is good exercise selection. You'll have to experiment with that. Then number three, probably the most important out of everything, it's good intensity of effort, and really getting in there and training with some balls in the gym. You know, if you're leaving 4, 5, 6 reps in the tank past the beginner phase, you're not really going to grow. So you need to be pushing your sets very close to failure up until anywhere between 0 reps in the tank, 2, 3. On average, I would say most people are going to get a good benefit from being in that 0 to 1, 0 to 2 reps in reserve. Maybe bigger compound lifts, you might leave 1 or 2 reps in the tank if you want to train like that. Isolation stuff, machine stuff, for the most part, taking it all the way there. But you have to train hard. I know it's a buzzword, train hard, intensity, but you think if you tick these 3 boxes, what I'm saying, if you have precise technique, you can hone in on the target muscle with a good exercise selection that fits your structure. And then if you can train hard and push your sets, lean into the pain, again, make sure as you get towards the end of a set, the target muscle is the limiting factor and not the secondary muscles or stability. If you can train hard towards the end of a set, good exercise selection, precise, accurate stimulus, there you go. You get that right, and then everything else falls into place in terms of how many sets, how much volume do you need to grow. But you need to take care of these things first, have these nailed down, and then everything else makes sense. If you haven't got these on point, or you're coming in throwing endless sets, it's just like throwing shit at the wall and hoping something sticks. If you're just coming in doing random stuff, how are you never going to grow? How are we going to quantify what we need? If you get these 3 things right, it'll set you up for success in the gym. So have a little think, have a little fine comb through your training. What could you do better? Exercise selection. Record yourself some of your sets. How is my technique as I get towards the end of a set? Be honest with yourself. What is your training intensity like? Are you jumping off a set and you've got 3 or 4 more reps in the tank? These are the questions that you need to ask. If you answer these questions honestly, correctly, gather the data, you're gonna find better and be able to notice more trends with your training for what you actually need to do. So let me know what you think. Again, very important topic this. I wish I would have known this 10 years ago when I first started training, not just following people blindly or just doing random things. But yeah, training is a skill. It takes time to develop this accuracy and precision. So just keep getting in there, getting after it. If you're equipped with this knowledge, you're gonna be better off. All right. So any other video ideas, any other questions you just have, drop them down below. I'll speak to you in the next one.